Hey, yo, everybody, Mark Pachetti here. I am here with Christian Loparco. Say hey.
Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Mark. You're very value giving, and I appreciate you taking this call.
I'm glad you said that before this joke because from this point forward, your name is Guido. So I'm kidding. So we were just talking about Italian descent. So today we're going to talk about the daily habits that you want to have as a copywriter so that you're never, ever, ever stagnant. And you know that you're investing your time, your energy, your attention on what matters. What matters?
What matters is to me as a copywriter.
Yeah, what matters? Why do you want to devote any amount of energy to daily habits that we're going to talk about that can help you grow, but not necessarily make you money today? First of all, before you answer that, are you a short or long-term thinker?
Long term for sure.
Like I'm both. I'm always the fire ready aim kind of guy. I like to just put things out there and it's like I say a lot, make a decision, then make it right. So short term, get it out there. Perfection is unattainable. Long term, keep optimizing and polishing and testing against as if your life depends on it. So long term thinking, what daily habits do you do right now that you feel like are helping you evolve, helping you grow, helping you become worth more money to the clients and partners who are ultimately going to work with you?
Right. So yeah, that's the thing. I do install daily habits because I know the only way to be successful at anything is literally you have to make sure you put in your calendar and make a daily habit out of it. Success is built upon habits. And the thing is, I wanted to talk to Mark because I know you're an A-lister and you know what the hell that you're doing. Like there's one thing to know that, yeah, you need to have good habits, but it's another thing. If your habit is completely wrong and you're just doing the wrong shit, it's not going to do anything. So at first I thought the right habits were to set aside time to read books and read copywriting books. So that didn't really move the needle. And then I went to like info products. So studying online info products on copywriting courses. So I did enough of those. And then I went to studying like other people's email sequences and other people's sales pages. And that I think does help in terms of finding new hooks and stuff. But I'm not sure if those are the good daily habits of reading stuff, studying courses, like even Mark's course, even Mark's copywriting meal course. Is that like a good habit to install, like studying those types of things? Or is it good to just study swipe copy from other people who are crushing it? I'm not sure if what I'm doing is the right thing to get myself better, to make sure that I'm worth like 7 figures instead of like just stagnating and not doing anything. I'm not sure if I'm installing the proper habits to make sure I'm becoming more valuable every day and make sure I'm worth 7 figures. So that's where I'm kind of stuck, but I just explained the 3 things I used to do, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do, or I'm not sure if I should, yeah, I'm kind of like a big question right now that's messing with my head.
So a lot to unpack there. First of all, we talked about tennis. I talked about teaching tennis before we pressed record. Who do you think I preferred working with when I taught tennis? Players who had already received a lot of coaching and had a lot of positive, but also a lot of negative habits, or a brand new player who's never touched a tennis racket before. Which one do you think I preferred?
I think, so you're the tennis
I'm the
trainer,
coach.
and which one you're the coach? I'm gonna say the second guy who has more experience, rather than the brand new guy. So you don't have to start from scratch kind of thing. You can just improve on the second guy. That's my guess.
So no, it's the person that has 0 experience, because one bad habit can cancel out 100 good ones. It depends on which one you do more. And so tennis players are a lot like copywriters. We get in our head a lot. When I taught tennis, I did it the Miyagi way, as I talk about like in Copywriting Miracle. Like when Mr. Miyagi's teaching Daniel LaRusso how to learn karate. Wax on, wax off, sand the floor, paint the fence, paint the house, right? So Daniel's being this bitch. He has very little karate training. He had some. But Miyagi knew that all the training that he had was bullshit. He needed to strip him, break him down, and get back to the fundamentals without him even knowing it. So here he is, he's developing all these new habits in terms of how to use his body. And he gets frustrated, the big tournament's coming up with Johnny at Cobra Kai, and I'm not learning anything. I'm just being your bitch. What does Mr. Miyagi do? Show me sand the floor. Show me paint the fence. Show me wax on, wax off. And then all of a sudden, Daniel's like, shit, I know karate. What's my point? My point is most people who are in the copywriting business for longer than a year, and might be a somewhat controversial statement to make, but copywriters who have already been in this business for over a year or say 2 years have already developed what their plateau generally is. Why do you think so many copywriters hit a plateau? I know copywriters from circa 2007, 2008, when I was still very much a baby in this game, who are still at the same level they were at that time, 12 years ago. Why? Because the more you do something, the more you're going to do it. And how you do something here is how you typically do it everywhere in your life. So those habits are either helping you or they're not. Here's the thing. Results don't lie. Take all the story out of it. You can open your mouth and gurgitate anything you want. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. So fucking what? Your results tell me it doesn't mean anything. So I look at people in like copywriting miracle group. Virtually nobody is actually applying the information. If it were me, if I were in your position, I would take one thing and I would master the fuck out of it and I would make it my own. Mechanism. Nobody ever taught me mechanism. I figured out on my own that people need permission to believe. And the way I figured that out is by watching people tell their stories, and even in cinema, right? You need permission to believe. You need a reason to get invested in a movie, a character, a story. And without that permission to believe, most people don't. So I'll ask you a question now. Mechanism. One of the most important aspects to any advertising campaign, whether it's direct response, brand advertising, doesn't fucking matter. Are you a master at the mechanism? Have you gone down that rabbit hole, Christian, so far that you're like, I can isolate the mechanism in any campaign, and in fact, I can improve it? Do you have that deconstructive ability?
I'm gonna say absolutely not. I have a general understanding of what it is, and I know what it is in certain campaigns, but I'm not like, I can't just read a sales letter and say, yeah, that's the mechanism, or
boom.
Yeah, that
now, what are 3 daily action steps that you can take to solve that problem? Because talking about the problem more doesn't do anything. The solution is simple. Open a Google Doc. Pick a product. Go on ClickBank. Click his secret obsession. And then write 3, 4, 5 different leads that demonstrate your awareness, your clarity on the mechanism that is being used in the copy, and make it better. And by doing so, you are empowering yourself to see the mechanism everywhere else, and to see even the deeper mechanisms that are not the main mechanism that, keep the conversation going, keep the flow of the conversation going. So to be able to sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to deconstruct this copy. I'm going to isolate what the mechanism is. I'm going to do a little bit of research so I understand it. The mechanism is biochemical. Okay, so I need to understand brain science. I need to understand gut brain science. I need to understand where these emotions come from and why they stop getting triggered. Let me give you a for instance. I showed you this before we're going live. This is just some preliminary copy. I just got the lead done yesterday.
So this is
But
the
this is,
lead here, these 4 pages?
yes.
Okay.
Now, this is just one way into the conversation. Now, in a relationship rewrite method, which I did with Jordan, his secret obsession, the mechanism is brain chemical. Being able to, like dopamine, being able to predictably trigger a dopamine response, which is both the pleasure and reward center in the brain. That's why it's obsession, because dopamine is addictive, right? We aren't actually addicted to coffee. We're addicted to the response coffee gives us, and we associate that response with this. Now, I can associate that response with many different things. If that response is associated with my lover, then I'm going to look for my dopamine response from my lover rather than going out to the coffee shop and getting it from random people because I'm a stranger and I get to act differently than I act with my lover. I'm a more open person out there than I am in here with her. Why? Because she is actually stifling the dopamine response. She's not, as I say, triggering a man's devotion switch, which is that biochemical response. So now you understand the basic mechanism for why this would allow me to suspend my disbelief if I'm a woman that wants to save my relationship, who wants to get more out of my relationship. So if you look at copy, you're like, why? What's the mechanism and why does it work? And how can I do it better? And whether it's somebody else's product, your own product idea, uh, your client work, you're always exercising the mechanism, and you're making sure that on a daily basis you're taking the steps to deliberately master it.
Right,
Because
in the copy sorry, go on.
Talking about it, watching a webinar and copywriting miracle about it, sure. So you have an awareness about it. So fucking what? If you're not the
That's my
master
problem.
at it,
So what? Exactly.
if you're not the master at it by doing the daily work, which doesn't take that long, then you're integrating it into your repertoire, and you're actually going to be able to grow because of that. That's what promotes self-growth. Is one thing, take one thing and master it. Be better than everybody else in the room about it. If you're not doing that, then you're not growing. You're only fooling yourself by doing the busy work, right? Oh, I'm watching this webinar. Oh, cool. Now what do I do? It's a matter of taking the circuitry that's activated and applying it immediately to harness that momentum. If you don't harness that momentum, it's just a fleeting idea, and you go back to programming as usual. You always fall back into your comfort zone until you deliberately expand it on a daily basis, utilizing this one thing, picking one thing, and mastering the shit out of it. And you can do 3 or 4 of those a day. You can pick one thing and have 4 different one things, because you're able to do an hour here, an hour here, an hour here, an hour here. And then you start seeing how they marry each other, how they're all symbiotic, how each element can seamlessly flow with or after each other. How mechanism and new cause are just like this delicious little marriage. And how showcasing it immediately in the very beginning of your copy can get that ultimate self-identification. Next question.
So, yeah, because I think that would be a good thing to focus on, because you said several times in the copywriting course, I'm going to say 70% through, not totally through it, but 70-75%. And you mentioned so many times that mechanism is literally the most important thing when you're going to sit down and write sales copy, because without it, you kind of framed it as it's literally the most important thing in a sales message. Is that true? And there's also storytelling. There's a bunch of different elements, but you said you always harp on how important the mechanism is and how, like, why
Mechanism
it's so valuable.
I can't write a word of copy until the mechanism is crystal fucking clear.
Yeah,
because
and the
it's what
problem
makes
is
the conversation simple.
yeah, and sometimes I just don't know what the mechanism is. Like, okay, like I just can't isolate. I know, like Piano EX's the mechanism was muscle confusion. I get that, but I can't look at any sales letter and say a guy's writing a sales letter on how to make money doing online courses. I don't know if I read it. I don't know what's the mechanism. Like, you get to, is it financial freedom, or like, I just don't know how to look at some sales page and find a mechanism like that. It's just it's kind of like a difficult thing. So we're going to ClickBank, it looks like, and you see self-help.
There's his secret obsession. Pick one. Any of these look interesting to you?
How are these ordered, by the way? The most popular are at the top?
Typically a popularity based on gravity. So how many people are selling at least one a day? Something like that is the measurement of gravity. So if you have lots of people selling at least one product, one sale a day, one conversion a day, that increases your overall score. So the gravity doesn't tell you how well it converts. It just tells you how many affiliates are blasting it and making a sale.
Got it. So pick one. I don't know. Let's go to whatever, text chemistry. Use text to make men love you. I like that. I like dating products are fun sometimes. So here's a BSL, but there's no sales. Why don't I find one with the sales page so we don't have to watch a video? Oh wait, you got it.
Yeah, they typically all have read it. The strange text that makes a man shake with obsession. Okay, so are they going after dopamine? Okay, let's just read a little bit until you're that front with the message would change about breaking up with it.
So is the mechanism a magical text message? Is that the mechanism of the sales page? Like a magical text message? I don't know if that's the one. I don't know how to identify it.
Well, this strange simple text that would cause his heart to burn with an intoxicating desire every time he thought about her. That the mechanism is in that. So they really got to stop saying forever. That doesn't necessarily make it better. But it's when people are in a relationship, they want to believe it's forever.
Right.
So it's just playing into that emotion, even though no such thing as forever. Forever doesn't exist. What's forever?
Forever is, I guess they mean till the end of your lifetime.
No, forever is the decision you make right now.
I don't get it.
But the future doesn't exist. It's not this thing that's like, hey, come on, we're waiting. Get over here. Yeah. No, it doesn't exist. It's pure possibility, which means it's a trillion different things until the observer collapses possibility into the finite of a very particular experience, which happens in the present. And it's usually based on the story I'm telling about the past, which means ultimately it's my conditioning that creates my experience. There's mechanism in there. Now, let's go down a little bit more. Now, here's the story, which is just the typical. It really irritates me that everybody's using this brain science. Swipe, swipe, swipe. So what is this text message and how does it work? So that's the part mechanism where they're really going to get into mechanism.
Right.
The key is making a man fall and stay in love in his attention. When you truly capture a man, sure, he can't stop thinking about you, but that's not the mechanism. Here we go. Attention hooks. So they're creating a biochemical positive feedback loop in the brain that makes the obsession response, or what the attention hook. So there's your mechanism. Pretty simple, and honestly, whomever wrote this could have done way better.
Why
There's
do you
just
say
so
that?
much. Oh, because there's so much swiping going on, and
I didn't.
there's actually, well, like the mechanism alone, it's just a rehash of virtually every other dating offer. So if you're going to use that mechanism, then what's the substance? Like, for instance, getting into the meat, of the lead here. Uh, it's the thing is, as relationships go through the initial honeymoon phase, the switch stops being triggered, the devotion switch. It's something that almost virtually all couples go through as you both become comfortable in the relationship, and without being able to turn his devotion switch on, he'll quickly become a ghost in your relationship. That's the hunting feeling you're likely experiencing while you reach it out loud. So if thoughts like, he didn't kiss me like you kissed me yesterday, what's going on, are causing you anxiety, then your intuition's right. He's drifting. Even worse, he's hiding from you. So you have to give the real substance, because in a relationship, when especially from the woman's perspective, when a man isn't giving to her, or she's giving to him and not receiving back, he's not there. He's not present. He's somewhere else. He's hiding. Because men, if you get down to the deep psychology of men need to be given the space in order to feel safe and open up. If the woman is insecure, what does she do? She holds tighter, which pushes him away. So that's why men hide, right? What does hiding mean? It means I have a secret life out there. I'm different at the coffee shop. I'm different with my friends. Maybe I'm having affairs because she lets me be who I really am and you don't. How common and relatable is that in a relationship? So the copy here is topical. It's, all this is hype. All of it is hype. There's not a single message of substance. That's where they can do better. That's where they can get more identification and increase conversions on this. Bullshit. So that's the daily work. If you don't know mechanism, then go through sales letters that are converting, isolate the mechanism, then rewrite that lead. I can rewrite that lead easily 5 different times right now, because it's just a psychological, biochemical loop that they're trying to create. They're basically just talking about dopamine. So then I would start researching dopamine. What triggers the dopamine response? What happens when you don't trigger the dopamine response? If he does, because men and women always need that trigger. That's what keeps us, I want moving. It's momentum that keeps us moving, right? Do you see how deeply you need to understand the mechanism? I guarantee you the person who wrote that didn't, because I'm not seeing it demonstrated.
And when you say write different leads, do you recommend going to do you know there's a book called Great Leads by Michael Masterson? Do you know what I'm talking about? How they have 6 different lead types? No, yeah, you don't read books on copyright. So do you recommend just, I forgot you don't read. So do you recommend just, like when you say write 3 different leads for a sales letter you see, do you mean just using different angles on the same mechanism type of thing?
Yep.
So different angles.
There's endless, Christian, ways to enter a conversation about the same thing. You're only limited by your own linear perception. So how do you make your perception not linear? How do you take the blinders off? You have to expand your creative capacity so that you can see more and more can come through you. Right now in the text chemistry, I see blinders. It's converting. We can see that by where it's positioned on the first page of self-help on ClickBank. Does that make it good? No, it just makes it effective. Can it be more effective? 100% yes. Could it
Right.
overtake His Secret Obsession? It could. It could be number one on ClickBank if they took the time to do what we're talking about right now.
Right. And do you recommend going to ClickBank, or do you also apply this exercise for other products like people on your email list in Gmail, or could you even go to old school sales? Because I have like a big swipe file of old school sales letters. Could you do it on those, or do you recommend
I could
ClickBank?
sell this alkaline water. What's the benefit of alkalinity in the body?
The alkalinity, I don't even know. That's a good question.
If your body's too acidic, what thrives in an acidic environment?
What thrives in an acidic environment?
Yep. What thrives in an acidic and therefore non-oxygenated environment in the body?
Shit, I can't even answer that.
Virus. Virus thrives in a low oxygenated environment.
Like the coronavirus?
Any virus, any retrovirus, any autoimmune virus, any bacterial or fungal infection thrives in a non-oxygenated environment. What brings down oxygenation and heightens acidity in the body?
Alkaline.
Well, what makes our bodies more acidic? Coffee, alcohol, smoking, stress, processed foods, not enough sleep. That depresses the immune system. It increases acidity and it decreases oxygenation. Why is that important to know? Trying to find something while I'm asking you these questions.
Why is that important to know? It's important to know that because if you have this water that's alkaline, it can be the solution to their problem of having too much acidity in their body.
What's this?
Hydrogen peroxide.
Do you see my face?
Yeah.
Don't look at the gap in my teeth. Yeah. So I usually have big red welts all over my face because of ingrown hairs, right? And it's a huge problem. I'm a Sicilian Jew. I have thick, coarse hair, and it grows right back into the skin. So I have these needle nose tweezers where I have to dig deep into my flesh to get these hairs out. So shaving is a bitch. Look at this is an old book about beauty for women. It was published in 1913 by a pharmaceutical company. And
what are you doing with that book? I'm so curious.
I love old advertising. You know, one of the things that you should do when you could do it online, but I like doing it in person. If you go to like antique shops or Goodwill stores or old magazine stores where you can find old magazines. I like buying old Cosmopolitans, old Life magazine, because you're gonna see all these classic ads. That's why I do these. So right here is an ad for hydrogen peroxide, right? So I'll just quickly read it. Use it as a mouthwash or as a gargle for the teeth or cuts, burns, wounds, boils, mosquitoes, insect bites, bee stings, excellent for complexion, prevent pimples and blotches. Use in the bath. It prevents skin eruptions, and for the toilet, it destroys body odors. Use after shaving. It gives instant relief to tender skins. Valuable in all cases of emergency and indispensable in 100 different ways. The genuine hydrox peroxide of hydrogen is made only by the Consumers Company, Chicago. So it's an old advert. And you can see how, the if you look at hydrogen peroxide on the shelf, how often does it grab your attention?
Never. I didn't even know what it does.
And yet it's one of the most amazing substances that we have available to us over the counter for infections, to clear the skin. My skin cleared up since I've been using this the last week, and I try everything. The silver does really well, but this actually does better. And all I do is just dump it in my hand, put it on my face, let it dry, and that's it. That's my skin routine right now. And why don't we see more of this? Well, this is not patentable. So you can't make tons of, like back then, pharmaceutical companies could actually make profit. Not anymore, because it's a commodity. So there's no way to really profitize it. Just like antibiotics. You're not seeing pharmaceutical companies make antibiotics anymore. They stopped making new ones because they don't work. Because antibiotic resistance is already here, and it's only going to increase. But if you don't know why things like this work in the body, what the mechanism is, then it's harder to find the mechanism in other things. You can take a product like this, Christian, and write an amazing sales letter that demonstrates your ability to isolate mechanism, and take something that's so simple that if I said, hey, Christian, I'm going to pay you $20,000 to write me a funnel on hydrogen peroxide and other hydrogen peroxide based products, you're like, but hydrogen peroxide is in everything. That's a commodity and people aren't going to do it. And I'd be like, all right, so I'm going to find someone else to take my $20,000 and we're going to make millions together. Why? Because I understand what this does. I understand the mechanism, and I know that I can put it out there better than everybody else. And I can create enough proprietariness in a formulation where this is still the hero ingredient so that I can patent it, and I can either, partner with the right people to get it out there or do it myself. It's all mechanism.
I didn't know that. You're saying you use that for your face to prevent ingrown hairs, and you just discovered? Wow.
Just, that's it. Pure hydrogen peroxide. Not pure. This is 3%. So you don't want to put food grade hydrogen peroxide on your face. It'll actually eat your skin. So again, it's just like, what can you do on a daily basis? Well, if you are struggling to understand mechanism, then look at commodity products and figure out how they work. You have to give yourself that 3D vision, and then it gets easier and easier and easier to spot it and isolate it. Then you can totally geek out on it. Who can find the mechanism faster?
Right. Quick question. So let's do an example. This bottle here. This is a sick bottle. I love it so much. And the reason why is because when I put water in it, I can leave it there for like 9 hours and it will still be cold. It's an isolating bottle. Sorry, what do you call it? An insulated bottle. Yeah, that's the word. Is the mechanism here the reason why
isolation I love it so much on your mind much?
Is it because it keeps it cold? Is that the mechanism? For this bottle, this is a simple product. I love it because it keeps my water cold. What's the mechanism here? Is it the insulation?
Okay, so what's the benefit of drinking cold water versus water at room temp?
I love water when it's cold, and the problem with other bottles is I didn't like the way it tastes when you just leave it for an hour and now it's warm water.
What's more hydrating? Cold water or room temp water?
Cold water.
Cold water, why?
I don't know why. I just like it. I just like
because your body has to bring it up to temp, before it can be eliminated. So it stays in your body faster and it becomes more hydrating, more time to seep and hydrate where it's needed. And then how could you elevate that formulation?
By developing a mechanism that keeps it cold for 10 hours straight.
Okay, great. So we have that mechanism. Now, how can we make the formulation more proprietary? What's
I
another
don't know.
what's another key reason why dehydration exists? Even if I drink a ton of water, why would I still be dehydrated?
If you drink a ton of, I don't know. What the?
So
You ask me these questions.
if I go to the gym and I'm pounding water, why am I more dehydrated than had I just drank half the amount of water?
I don't know that can happen. If you just pound water and you can still be dehydrated, is it because you don't burn it off like with exercise, or
Nope.
is it because it's
What
going
is
over
one of the
capacity?
most critical minerals to spark energy? What starts ATP, energy in the cells?
Mitochondria.
So what feeds mitochondria? What are we burning like crazy in order to keep those the mitochondrial metabolism, the energy metabolism, constantly going? And if we don't
I don't
have
even know.
it, it's magnesium.
Maybe, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I haven't paid attention to health stuff in a while, so
So,
I'm
well,
so sorry for not knowing.
this is the whole point of me asking these questions is the more you understand the mechanism of everything that's relevant within the conversation of health or within the conversation of finance or within the conversation of self-development, your creative capacity is bigger. That's knowing more than everybody else in the room. Now, when you put magnesium in this bottle, that the mechanism is it's insulated to keep water cool, so it forces your body to hang on to it longer. And then we added bioavailable magnesium. Magnesium is one of your essential electrolytes. And the more that you look at your smartphone, the more energy you burn at the gym, the more you sweat, the more you stress, you're burning magnesium and preventing hydration, because our bodies are thirsty for water, yes, but they're also equally thirsty for minerals, especially magnesium. So by putting bioavailable magnesium into your ice cold insulated water, it's forcing the body to absorb more of the hydration, more of the mineral content that can both energize and relax you at the same time. So there, by understanding mechanism, I'm able to write copy off the top of my head over this ridiculous little bottle that just keeps water cold.
Wait,
Mechanism.
but I don't get, how would you write copy? Because you said you were adding magnesium. I thought like the bottle doesn't have magnesium in it. It's just
No,
a
I'm
bottle.
just saying that as the company, we took something and we made it better. So if I'm the copywriter and they're coming to me and they're like, hey man, what do you think? Is there any way we can make this better? Yeah, just add magnesium. Simple magnesium.
Right.
And they're like, okay, cool. What would be the messaging claims that would benefit us? Because anytime you have an offer, it determines where is the best way to enter the conversation, positioning. So by adding that ingredient, our positioning exponentially increases and the conversation is much more relevant. Relevance wins the game. It also
Right.
increases the impact of the copy. So yeah, you could just have that on your front end. Just keep your water cold 9 hours straight. Here's why it's important. Here's what it does. So that's the mechanism. It works for everybody. Then maybe on your upsell, here's magnesium. Pour it in your water. Here's what it does. Now you have a congruent upsell. And it's all based on knowing your mechanisms to know what's going to be effective and relevant. And what allows you to have the most impactful messaging and positioning possibilities. So it's doing the daily work to understand mechanism. Do you see how deep the conversation of mechanism goes?
Yep.
And this is still the tip of the iceberg. So if you were to spend 2 hours a day mastering the mechanism, or even an hour a day, within a month, you are going to be a completely different copywriter than you are right now. That's growth. When you
Right.
go through a month and you're like, what did I do? You're just spinning your wheels because you're so far in your comfort zone and you're not deliberately learning the tools, the elements, the skills, the strategies that are going to make you worth more money and make your clients and partners more money.
Right. And I feel that's a big trap that not just me, a lot of people have, is the idea of passive learning. Like, you feel good if you're reading a book, or you feel good if you're taking a course, but okay, you, like you said, so what? So the better thing to do would be to actually apply it, because then you're actually growing, because you can feel good. Like, it's better than watching Netflix if you're studying an online course, but at the same time, you're not actually improving. It's, if you actually want to improve, you can actually do the work and write new leads, because that's, you're basically getting your hands dirty versus just taking a bath type of thing.
It's just like the Bruce Lee-ism of it takes 10,000 sidekicks to do one perfect one. So, hey, I'm a copywriter. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I discovered Mark Pachetti's Copywriting Miracle. It's really cool, and now I can do all this stuff. Really? Can you do mechanism? Can you isolate mechanism? Can you deconstruct mechanism? Can you build a better mechanism in the same realm? Yes or no? No? There's your work. Are you able to isolate what everybody else is stating as the core cause so that you can have a newer cause that is so much more relevant right now? Yes or no? No? There's your work. How do people naturally talk about the problem you want to help them solve? Because if you can use the words, use the language, use the tone that I use to describe my problem, I'm going to be much more open to your solution. What's that called? Dog whistle language, they call it. What's dog whistle language? It's a tone only the intended audience hears.
Mm-hmm.
Only them, not everyone else, only them. Are you a master at that? Yes or no? Do you know where to immediately put your research time? Yes or no?
Well, I go to Amazon, Reddit, and Quora and Google, but I don't even know if that's doing the right thing. Because something that
Absolutely.
shocked
And
me.
I love Amazon reviews for getting dog whistle language, or
Or like
any review
forums,
site. Sure.
right? But something that shocked me when you did research is when you told Brandon, like, here's a sales letter, and you told him to, like, order 9 books on Amazon and read those. I was like, what? That never occurred to me, of ordering 9 books, and that sounds daunting, to be honest. I know research is important, but if you were to tell me, give me the new sales letter and say, hey, Christian, go read 9 books, that sounds daunting to me. I was like, holy, like 9 books for to do research on this? It literally sounds like a shitload of reading, and just like a kind of a nightmare, rather than just go online, go on forums. I'd rather go online and go on forums. But if you were to tell me, hey, read 9 books to get the mechanism, that sounds like, and that's probably why you're more valuable, is because you're willing to do that. But 9 books, going through 9 damn books to find, like, I was like, whoa, because I never heard someone say that when it comes to research, of go read 9 books to do research. It's usually just like online research thing. But yeah, but that kind of shocked me, of like, whoa, that's like, I never done that. I never, like, I know you're probably like, oh, this kid, but I'm saying
Well,
that sounds
you
daunting to
know,
me.
you've read more copywriting books than I ever will.
Yeah, I read like over, like, I don't know how many. I have the list in Evernote of what I read, but like, I'm gonna say 30 to 40. I read so many fucking books, man. Like, what other top copywriters recommend them too, like the classics. And I feel like I know a lot, but obviously I haven't applied much of it, because I don't know. No, I have applied. Like, I have some results, but it's just the idea of, it's passive learning rather than getting your hands dirty and going to write that lead, because I don't do that shit. Like, I just passively read and study and find hooks and stuff, but I don't get my hands dirty when I do my study time or try to make
Well,
myself more
again,
valuable.
what's going to get you the dog whistle language of anybody dealing with health problems? Reading copywriting books that theorize or reading the real information that's relevant to the person going through that experience. If you care about something, you're going to take the time to know more than everybody else about it. Otherwise, it's ego. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to understand things deeply. However it is that you need to understand it, to connect with the deeper emotion that people are feeling, the deeper stories that they're telling about it. If you do not have that creative capacity and that awareness, your copy is going to be much less dimensional. It's going to have much less impact. It's going to move fewer mountains. But if you take the time to absorb the right information by asking the right questions and put your energy into reading only what you need to know, maybe a little bit more, so that you can keep the research process going online, well, do that. Why not? How many times do you sit down and you're like, what do I write? How many?
How many times do I find myself doing that? Sometimes, actually. Sometimes I have trouble finding hooks for emails. So say, for example, I'm doing email sequence for a client. Sometimes I like run out of ideas or angles or hooks to write about, and it kind of pisses me off because like I feel like I should know. I feel like I should have endless amount of hooks or ideas for an email, but sometimes I just run out of ideas.
And the only reason why you don't is because your creative capacity is small.
Yeah,
that's what it's telling you. Remember, results don't lie. They're always telling you exactly the truth, exactly what the baseline is right now. You can tell a story about it that it's this or this, but it's always this. So if you can't immediately be clear about something, then put your energy into it. Ask the right questions. Read what, it's like, I can't even tell you how many times I've paid like a functional nutritionist $100 for a consultation just so I can pick him or her's brain about what I'm writing and get more substance that's relevant to what real people are experiencing with real clients right now. That's normal for me. I just did that this past Monday or Tuesday, and I'm doing it Monday again, or tomorrow, Sunday. So it's like, why do I do that? Why do I come out of pocket to make sure that, it's like I could ask 1,000 questions and still not get to where this person are because they spent 10 years in it. So if I can ask the right questions, I'm going to get further down the rabbit hole faster. And I'm going to be able to write more effective copy with a much more substance-filled mechanism, with language that is much more identifying for the people who want to see themselves in it. So explode the fucking box. I said this to Brandon all the time. Get outside the box, be Rambo, chuck a grenade in it, and keep walking. There is no box. How do you research to get the most effective copy? Well, how can you get the most relevant information the fastest? Is it in a book? Is it in interviewing your client, your partner? Is it finding somebody who is an expert in the space that you can get an hour of their time and ask the right questions and get further in your research faster, but cut days off of research time and already be writing, if not finished, by the time you would normally just start? Yes, there's easy ways to do that. So the essence of this conversation, what are daily habits that I can do? Well, I started with one thing and we hung our hat there for the entirety of this conversation because just that one thing is such a deep rabbit hole. We can choose 10, 20 different things and they're all equally going to be deep rabbit holes because you need to be the master of all of these elements so that you know the best practices to get the most effective copy the fastest. Knowing perfection is unattainable and knowing that you're always going to have to optimize and scale and test against. Does that make sense?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what are 3 daily habits you can do today to become a better mechanism-based copywriter based on this conversation? Unpack
So
it for me.
based on this conversation, what I got out of it is I can't be passively learning and I need to get my hands dirty, which it sounds like it's basically getting out of my comfort zone. And the way I can do that is you suggested ClickFunnels. What also during the conversation, what came out in my mind of what can I do is maybe setting other people's email sequences and clicking to their sales pages and getting the mechanism from there, or going to your swipe file and reading like sales letters from there and deconstructing the mechanism and writing, to be honest, 3 different leads sounds like painful to do every single day. Maybe just one different. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I want to make it consistent, I want to make sure I'm actually doing. Because even writing one lead, I feel like it would take a lot of time to. The steps are sorry. Okay, I'm running in circles. The steps are: step 1, get a sales page for like a nice converting sales page and read it. Step 2, find what the mechanism is in that sales page. That's a valuable exercise in itself, even though it's semi-passive. And step 3 is to see if you can write a better lead. Now, where I'm confused is for the first step, it sounds daunting because there's like thousands of sales letters out there. Where do I go look? Should I go to ClickFunnels? Should I go to my Gmail? Or should I go to swipe files in my hard drive? There's like millions of fucking sales letters to choose from.
What do you want your next client to be?
My next client is usually okay. I'm leaning towards Gmail.
I don't want what usually. What do you want?
Like business opportunity, selling, like it's usually BizOp, selling an online course on how to make money online type of thing. It's usually an online course at $2,000 price point type of thing.
So MMO, high ticket.
Yeah.
So what are other?
Well, that's where most of my clients have come from. That's why I said.
Is that where you want to stay?
I don't know, because that's what I know and that's what I do. But I feel like most of the money is in financial, but I don't really go into financial like or copy.
I don't either.
And
I do the least amount of financial copy that I ever have right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I know you do health, and I don't think I've did one health sales letter in my life. Like I've been doing this for 3 years, and I never even touched health. I never touched health or financial. It was mostly make money online with some sort of product. Like
so, how can you grow, Christian, if you just do the same thing again and again and again without really challenging yourself to get outside of the comfort zone? Ask yourself your own, because it's like you've created a nice little insulated bubble for yourself in terms of what you do on a daily basis, and you feel the end of its relevance in your life. So what is your next step? How are you going to expand your comfort zone? What deliberate steps do you want to take? Where do you want to exercise your passion now and next?
Just basically, where do I want to exercise just basically becoming a more valuable copywriter, because I feel like I'm stagnating and I'm making the same amount of money, which I'm making okay money, but it's not like, it's not Mark Peschetti money. So it's just a matter of Mark Peschetti. Sorry, did I say your name wrong?
Peschetti. Io capisco italiano.
Mark Peschetti. No, but it's okay. Sorry, what was I talking about? I'm just trying to find what I should do, which this is a great conversation, by the way, and I kind of learned it, but I want to systemize it.
So you're not going to grow if you write the same copy again and again and again and again. You have to step outside of what you normally do in order to be the best all-around, well-rounded copywriter. Because knowing how to convert here is going to help you here. Knowing this information about finance could help you with health. Knowing this information about health could help you in self-development. Knowing this information about relationships or the educational system can help you here. I mean, there's just so many roads that you can take. That's why I always say make a decision and make it right. But make a decision and move forward. Otherwise, you get stuck in stagnation, where it's always on a plateau. You're always stuck on a plateau. And it's like, will I ever get off of this? But if you don't exercise confusion, you won't. I wrote about confusion a few months ago. Nobody got it. Muscle confusion. How do you get the best body? Muscle confusion. Different things, different days. That's how you also become the best copywriter. Because the moment that you get your brain can anticipate what's going to happen next, you become less conscious about it. So you always got to keep yourself on your toes. And you do that by diversifying, but doing it deliberately. That's why you can learn mechanism in every space.
Basically,
And
every
then you
sales
can
letter.
identify it or utilize it everywhere.
Basically, you can use it. You're saying you can use it on every single sales letter. You can do this exercise.
Yes.
But where I'm not where I'm stuck, where I'm questioning is which resource do you think I should go to find the sales letter? Should I just go to ClickFunnels and keep it simple? Because I don't want to, you know, the analysis paralysis of there's so many sales letters. What do I choose?
What
That's
companies do you want to emulate? Like, if you want to write for supplements, look at Organifi. They're doing amazing stuff. My Doctor Suggests, Golden Hippo, Gundry. What's Agora putting out right now in the financial space? What's converting? Why? What's it leveraging? What's the mechanism? Are they utilizing a new cause? If so, what is it? How are they utilizing it? Are they mixing it with different elements? And then how can I write it better? Boom, 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 next. Does that make sense?
right.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like, I opened up this file. You know, here's a quiz. Here's a second quiz. Here's an advertorial. Here's a second one. Here's a third one. Here's a fourth one. Here's a fifth one. Here's a pre-sell. Here's an entirely different pre-sell. Instead of a different lead, just an entirely different pre-sell. Here's an entirely different pre-sell. All three selling the same thing with the same mechanism. Totally different copy. Right?
Right.
So you always want to test different things against each other. If you don't, then you know you're not doing best practices. Anybody who tests one thing is shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, that's something I learned from you too, because whenever I delivered something for my clients, I only give them one draft. I never gave them alternate leads to their sales.
Exactly. So what's something else that, you know, the Miyagi effect, what's something else that you're doing? Oh, you're learning how to quickly write leads because that's something that you're going to need to do for your clients. Oh, so you're getting double the benefit out of it and you're becoming exponentially more valuable because of it. Huh, happy consequence. That's fucking great. You see how it works?
Right. But
right,
where
well,
do you recommend? Where do you recommend to go to find the sales letter? Do you recommend ClickFunnels? You said Agora, and like, where do you go to like the systemize the approach?
ClickBank, Agora, different publishing companies. Do Google searches. You're going to find websites, not sales letters. Go on YouTube. Go on Amazon. Just look at different ways, the products, the solutions that you're interested in being able to dominate when you write. So it has to be things that turn you on. It can't be something that you're not interested in. I don't read financial stuff every day because I'm not really that interested in it. But
yeah, and
I
find those products to be like sketchy too. The idea of like these option trading things. I feel like most of finance is bullshit. I feel like it's just unethical type of thing.
You and Mike Henderson should have a conversation about that because he's expressed the same things and he came from the financial world.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. That's why, like, why would I write? Even though there's money in financial, like, I just feel like you're just kind of fucking over the consumer. So why would I want to write in that niche?
Oh, there are great opportunities. I remember years ago, I wrote for this guy. He was a day trader, and he created his own algorithm. And over a 4-year period, he tested his computer software to test to day trade. And out of those 4 years, only 1 month did it not turn a profit. So he created this amazing system for day traders that was based on unknown indicators that most day traders didn't use. So it had a unique mechanism and it did it all for you. And it had scary high accuracy. And it was a $20,000 purchase. So, but we sold the shit out of it, right?
Yeah, that's a nice transaction size.
So, but my point is there's always valuable people and solutions in any space. So it's not to demonize a space, because guess what? What people do in finance, they also do in health. They also do in self-development. They also do in MMO. They also do in dating. There's fuckery in every market. And, you know, the top copywriters in like health, Stephen Georgie, he doesn't understand how he's fucking it up for everybody else, how he's flagged verticals that make it harder on everybody else that doesn't have his ad budget or doesn't work with the clients that he does. And he doesn't understand that. And that's okay, because he's a big shot in his world.
Isn't he one of the
Isolated.
best? Like he crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
Stefan. Yeah, like he's like literally one of the best next to like Craig Clemens.
He's, you know, I haven't seen very much of his work, so I can't vouch. And I don't know much about him as a person, except that what I have seen of his copy goes against a lot of what is compliant. And I was talking to another business owner yesterday who understands that when advertisers, copywriters, marketers put something up that pushes the boundaries of compliance, it hurts everybody, but they're making their money. And that's a conversation for a different time. But so let's wrap this up. It's going to be picking controls that you're interested in. And that's, Christian, on you. What triggers you? What enlivens you? What gets your passion? What gets your curiosity? What makes you excited? What gets you hard? Put your attention there.
Mm-hmm.
And choose one thing and put an hour, 5 days a week into it. And within a month, you are going to put another 0 behind the value of your services.
Wait, sorry. Say that again. Choose one sales letter for 5 days a week, or one.
No.
One different one.
One thing, like mechanism. You know, master the shit out of something so that you can do it anywhere, in any market. You can isolate it, deconstruct it, do it better, clearer, more effectively.
Right. But do you recommend doing one different sales letter and isolating one mechanism and writing a new lead every day? Or do you recommend picking one sales letter and doing like isolating a mechanism from there? Or
Make your own up. It doesn't even have to be based on a real product out there. You know, it's like make up your own product, start your own formulation, start your own creative solutions.
Right, so it's not like a one, like, because, you know, I don't know if you can tell my type of thinking of how I like a step 1, step 2. I like a process that I can like do and systemize. So that's why I'm asking you, like, you recommend a different sales
Step 1, find a Stephen Georgie. You like him. Find a Stephen Georgie letter. Deconstruct it. Isolate the mechanism. Then write 3 leads to go to compete against it. Send it off to him. Put yourself out there. Create noise. Be like, hey,
right.
I took the time to deconstruct your work, and I isolated these things, and I wanted to put this out there to see if you would be interested in testing this. No problem if not. I love your work, and I blah, blah, blah. Or not.
Wait.
And just...
Wait, one question. Sorry, I know we got to wrap this up. Do you recommend when reading a sales letter to isolate like different elements such as new cause or case studies or like the overall structure, or just
one thing at a time? Do one thing at a time. Isolate one thing at a time and master it. If you could, and you know, it doesn't have to be mechanism. I'm a mechanism-based copywriter, and it's made me rich, and it's made clients rich. And I know that if any copywriter knows how to utilize it, they can have the same experience. That doesn't mean that that's what you connect with the most. If it's something else, pick that element, pick that skill that you need to utilize in your copy and become the best at it repetitiously by constantly stepping outside of the box. Explode that shit, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to, you know, it's like, oh, I'm interested in dating. Okay, I could pick his secret obsession. I could write 3 different leads to it. Okay, I got it. Now I am going to put out an ad to get a client in that space by demonstrating what I've discovered and how I can convert better than everybody else because of this. How
Right.
did
Yeah, this is some, go on.
before the Americanized belt structure, how did a white belt become a black belt?
Uh, oh, I remember, I heard this somewhere. I don't know who said it, but it become a white belt from a black belt because whites, you're clean and you start, but you have to like roll around in mud and like fight and stuff. And it became a black belt after the wear and tear. I heard this somewhere.
Exactly.
Was it from you? I don't know if it was from you or someone else.
I don't know.
Maybe somewhere in the
But I
course because I
mean
heard this recently.
that is such truth. You don't there's no actual graduation to different steps. There's like in copywriting, there's junior and senior. There's not anything really in between. A junior copywriter needs to be led, a senior copywriter leads. A B-list copywriter needs to be led, an A-list copywriter creates. I was like looking in a copywriting group yesterday. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? If you don't know, you don't need to be asking people. Take the time to research it yourself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So pick one thing. Isolate a sales letter that you want to have the rewrite the lead. And just do that even once a week. But then work on yourself, on your own copy. You know, just pick different things like hydrogen peroxide, like alkaline water, like an app.
Mm-hmm.
Become purposely, deliberately well-rounded, and you will not stagnate. That is your responsibility. And that's a key point to remember.
Right. You're responsible for your success, but also this is like the studying part, but there's also like the prospecting stuff that you still have to do every day because you can be like this amazing person at writing leads, but if you're not attracting clients, then your bank accounts is the exact same. So
Well,
there's
absolutely.
also
And
that.
we didn't even get into the second part of this conversation, which is mindset and beliefs. You know, you talk about habits. Habits are something something that you do chronically every day, and so are thoughts. That's how they become beliefs. A belief is just a chronic thought that you think again and again and again until it's ingrained. And so, as a copywriter, what are your beliefs? Because obviously, that's going to determine where your attention is. So, the more you can be aware of what you believe about your success or what's possible for your success, how much money you can make, the type of people you can work with, the type of copy you can end up writing, all of that is internal. That's a story you're telling yourself. But as you do these steps, you also get to start telling your new story. Remember yesterday when we were talking, yesterday, the day before, I said, you know, don't say that. Stop telling yourself what you can't do.
Yeah.
And so often we are guilty of that, where we put resistance in front of ourselves that doesn't need to be there. The majority of energy that we waste as creatives is internal resistance, not knowing or not being able to do. Sorry, too many doubles. But that's the truth. It's resistance that takes more energy than actual doing. So how do you eliminate the resistance? Just take the steps every day that build confidence, that build your awareness, that build your creative capacity. Read a chapter here, write 3 leads there. Focus on mechanism this week, new cause next week, dog whistle language the following week, and make sure 5 days a week you're spending an hour just doing that while elevating your own mindset, telling your new story. Because as you change, everything about your circumstances and reality changes with you. But it's never the other way around. All change when these circumstances change. Never works that way.
Yep. That's like saying I'll start a business when I have a bunch of money in the bank account. Then I'll have capital. Then I can start a business. Like, no, you got to be resourceful from day one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're
that's
in a
totally,
state of stagnation. That's the gate you're stuck behind.
stagnation of both skill and income. It's like, it's not just I feel like I've definitely improved from where I started, but I just feel like the
So
skill of
if
writing
you do
copy
this
and the
today,
income.
yes, if you today's Saturday,
Saturday,
so
yeah.
by next Saturday, if you do 5 days of what we just talked about for mechanism, you're already worth more money. You can't take who you are right now with you if you want fill in the blank, if you want more money, if you want more high ticket clients, if you want more vacations, or being able to work from anywhere in the world and truly exercise the copywriter lifestyle as you dream. It doesn't matter what it is. 1 week can make that difference if you put deliberate time into doing deliberate things so that things never feel like a mystery to you, ever. Because an illusion is only real if you believe it. The moment you see the illusion for what it is, it no longer has power over you. You are the leader of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's end it there. If you have questions, dude, I'm going to post this. Put your questions in the group so more people can follow along the journey.
Thank you so much. It's been extremely helpful and different than for all the shit I studied. Very different, because like I never done this. I never actually got my hands dirty. It's always passive learning. So this was like really big eye opener. Thank you so much.
Well, let's put a pin in it and maybe continue the conversation later this week or next weekend, and dive deeper into the mindset thing, because the story we're telling is literally what we are experiencing right now, and it's never not that way. So let's make the intention to have that conversation too. Sound good?
Yeah, interested in doing a different webinar, whatever you call this interview.
Combo. All right, man.